Over 5,000 sinkholes have opened up across the UK in just the last few years. Entire roads have disappeared overnight. Cars, playgrounds, even people's homes, swallowed by the earth without warning. Sounds like a movie, right? But this is very real, and it's happening right now, possibly in your own city. From coastal towns eroding into the sea to cities built on collapsing mine shafts, the UK is facing a slow-motion disaster, one that most people have no clue about. You might think your home is safe, but what if it's built on unstable ground? What if the next storm or flood could make your neighborhood unlivable? Would you know before it was too late? This isn't just about climate change or old building. It's about hidden dangers under your feet, and the city's experts say we should start leaving now. In this video, we're exposing the 10 fastest collapsing cities in the UK, backed by real studies, expert data, and shocking real-life events. And trust me, some of these places are not what you'd expect. One of them is a top tourist destination. Another is still being sold as a prime investment. If you live in one of these cities or are thinking about moving, you need to see this, because by the end you might just realize you're standing on borrowed time. Let's get into it. Number 1. Blackpool, a name that brings back memories of arcades, fish and chips and long walks on the beach. But behind the bright lights and nostalgia is a slow-moving disaster that's putting this seaside city on the edge of collapse. According to the Environment Agency, sections of Blackpool's coast are retreating at a rate of up to 2 meters per year. That might not sound like much until you realize that's entire streets disappearing within a single generation. And the danger isn't just at the shoreline. Blackpool is built on boulder clay, a soft, unstable ground type that becomes even more fragile during heavy rains and storm surges. Add rising sea levels and increasingly violent weather into the mix, and you've got a perfect recipe for disaster. What makes Blackpool especially risky is that many homes, hotels and attractions sit just a few meters from the tide line, and yet property sales continue like business as usual. In fact, many residents aren't even aware their homes are in an erosion risk zone. If you live in Blackpool or plan to invest there, it's critical to check your shoreline risk assessment. The council provides public maps showing danger zones, and flood and erosion insurance is an absolute must, because while Blackpool may still shine on the surface, what's happening underneath is anything but stable. And the worst part, the collapse isn't coming. It's already begun. Number 2, Bradford. Imagine waking up to find a giant hole where your driveway used to be, or watching a section of your street disappear, not in decades, but in seconds. Welcome to Bradford, the unofficial sinkhole capital of the UK. This West Yorkshire city has a dark secret buried beneath its foundations, centuries of undocumented mining tunnels, long abandoned and poorly mapped. According to the British Geological Survey, Bradford sits atop thousands of old coal and ironstone shafts, many of which are collapsing slowly or suddenly. And it's not just theory. In recent years, Bradford has seen cars swallowed, schoolyards split, and entire roads closed due to unexpected ground collapses. One local street made headlines after a 5-meter deep sinkhole opened overnight, pulling down part of a wall and leaving residents terrified to step outside. The worst part? Most of these sinkholes aren't covered by standard home insurance. What makes Bradford's case even more alarming is that many affected areas still don't appear on official risk maps. People are buying and building on unstable ground, and they don't even know it. If you live in Bradford or are considering buying property there, ask for a coal authority report before making any decisions. And if your walls are cracking or your doors no longer shut properly, don't ignore it. Those could be the first signs of subsidence. Because in Bradford, the danger doesn't always come from above, it rises from below, and when the ground gives way, it doesn't warn you first. Number 3, Hull. What do Venice and Hull have in common? They're both cities that are slowly sinking, but unlike Venice, Hull doesn't have a global spotlight warning people about the danger, yet it's one of the most flood-prone cities in the entire UK, and many residents don't realise just how serious the risk is. Here's the hard truth. Large parts of Hull lie below sea level, and the only thing keeping the water out are aging flood defences that experts say won't be enough as sea levels rise and weather becomes more extreme. In 2007, a major flood event in Hull damaged over 8,000 homes. Roads were cut off, schools were shut down, and that was just the beginning. According to the UK's climate change risk assessment, Hull faces a high probability of severe flooding by 2050, not every decade, but every year. And it's not just coastal water. The city's clay-rich soil makes the ground extremely reactive. It shrinks during heat waves and swells during storms, leading to cracked buildings, uneven foundations, and in some cases, collapsing homes. So what can you do if you live in Hull? First, check your property's flood zone rating. This is publicly available through the Environment Agency. Then consider installing household flood defences like door barriers and sump pumps. And finally, be cautious with new property investment. A good view of the water might come with a very real future risk. Number 4. Stoke-on-Trent. Stoke-on-Trent, once the beating heart of Britain's pottery industry, is now becoming known for something far more alarming: its unstable ground. Beneath this proud industrial city lies a labyrinth of abandoned coal mines, many of which were never properly mapped or sealed. These underground voids are gradually collapsing, creating surface-level subsidence that's already damaging homes, roads, and public buildings. In 2023, a local school had to be evacuated after its gym floor began to sink, suspected to be caused by underground mine movement. And it's not an isolated case. The Coal Authority has classified Stoke-on-Trent as a high-risk area for subsidence, with over 30% of properties built on or near old mining ground. But here's the scariest part. Subsidence doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, almost invisible, until one day your walls start cracking, your floors slope, and your foundation begins to fail. And once it starts, fixing it can cost tens of thousands of pounds, and many insurance companies won't cover it without specific mine-related policies. Live in Stoke or thinking of buying there? Here's what you need to do. Order a mining risk report before any property purchase. Inspect your home regularly for cracks, shifts, or uneven flooring. Consider installing subsidence sensors to detect early movement. Because in Stoke-on-Trent, it's not a matter of if the ground gives way, it's a matter of when, and the deeper the history beneath you, the shakier your future may be. If this video opened your eyes, even just a little, drop a comment telling us which city shocked you most. We put a ton of effort into bringing you rare facts you won't hear anywhere else, so please hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. Number 5. Northwich. At first glance, Northwich looks like a peaceful market town in the heart of Cheshire. But beneath its quaint streets and leafy suburbs lies a buried danger that's been brewing for over a century: salt mine collapse. That's right, Northwich is built on top of vast underground salt caverns carved out during the 1800s and early 1900s. Over time, as these mines were abandoned and filled with water, the salt began to dissolve, creating unstable voids. And when those voids collapse, the ground above sinks. Sometimes suddenly, sometimes gradually, but always destructively. In fact, the ground under Northwich has been sinking for decades, and in some areas, entire buildings have had to be demolished or reinforced. Even now, there are zones where construction is banned due to the risk of future collapse. One terrifying example? In 2004, a major road had to be completely rebuilt after a massive sinkhole opened near the town centre. It wasn't an isolated incident, it was a warning. So what can you do if you live in or near Northwich? Check if your property sits in a subsidence risk zone. Cheshire West Council provides detailed maps. Look for cracks in walls, doors that stick, or sudden dips in your driveway, early signs of ground movement. And before buying a home here, request a salt mining impact report. You don't want to gamble with what's beneath your feet, because in Northwich, the danger isn't just underground, it's creeping upwards slowly, silently, until it's too late. Number 6. Newcastle. Newcastle is known for its rich history, iconic bridges, and vibrant culture, but there's something most people don't see. The city is quietly crumbling at the edges. What's causing it? A deadly combination of coastal erosion, shifting riverbanks, and long abandoned industrial tunnels beneath the ground. The River Tyne, which gives the city its character, is also slowly eating away at its foundation, especially in older riverside districts like Quayside and Byker. According to local geologists, increased rainfall, rising river levels, and unstable post-industrial land have already led to foundation damage, cracked pavements, and subsiding buildings. And that's just the surface. Newcastle sits above a network of forgotten mine shafts from the coal era. Many were never properly sealed. Today, these empty cavities act like ticking time bombs, waiting for the right pressure, rainfall, or structural load to trigger collapse. One study by Durham University found that several residential zones in the city were showing early signs of land destabilization. Yet development continues with minimal public awareness. If you live in or around Newcastle, check if your neighbourhood is listed in the Coal Authority's at-risk zones. Be cautious when buying near the river or historic mining areas. And if your home is showing signs of movement, don't delay an inspection. Early detection could save you thousands, because while Newcastle stands proud on the surface, its foundation tells a more fragile story. Number 7. Mansfield. In Mansfield, the warning signs are quite literally written on the walls. What used to be a thriving mining town is now one of the most quietly unstable areas in Nottinghamshire. The land beneath Mansfield is riddled with abandoned coal mines, many of which are collapsing in slow motion, causing homes, schools, and streets to shift and crack without warning. Residents often report doors that no longer close, windows that jam, and walls splitting in strange angles, and they aren't imagining things. According to the Coal Authority, Mansfield is at high risk for subsidence, particularly in older neighbourhoods built directly above unreinforced mine shafts. In some cases, the ground is sinking millimetres per year, unnoticed, until the damage is done. And it's not just residential areas. Several public buildings, including a leisure centre and a community hall, have required major structural work due to underground instability. So how can you protect yourself? Get a mining report before you buy. It's a small cost that could prevent a massive loss. If you live in Mansfield, inspect your home regularly for cracks, floor slants, or drainage issues. These can all be early signs of subsidence. Don't rely on standard insurance. Ask your provider about mine-related cover specifically for your postcode, because in Mansfield, the danger isn't sudden or loud, it's subtle, creeping, and often ignored until it's too late. And by then, the ground beneath you might already be giving way. Number 8. Portsmouth, a historic naval port, beloved coastal town, and one of the most threatened urban areas in the UK. This city doesn't just sit near the sea, it's surrounded by it. And while the ocean once brought prosperity, it's now posing a rising threat, literally. According to the UK Climate Resilience Programme, Portsmouth is one of the few UK cities considered extremely vulnerable to sea level rise. The city lies just meters above sea level, with some neighborhoods at risk of full submersion by 2080, if not sooner. What makes it worse is the phenomenon of land subsidence. Yes, Portsmouth is sinking as the sea is rising, a dangerous double threat. And while seawalls and floodgates are being constructed, experts warn they may only delay the inevitable. During severe storms and tidal surges, even the best defenses can be overwhelmed. In fact, back in 2014, parts of the seafront were flooded within hours, causing millions in damages, and that was with current sea levels. If you're living in Portsmouth or planning to move there, check your area's flood risk map. The Environment Agency updates these frequently. Consider elevating your home's electrics and plumbing, especially in ground floor flats, and be wary of buying near coastal plains or estuaries. The resale value might not hold in the coming decades, because in Portsmouth, the battle with the sea isn't coming, it's already begun, and in the long run the ocean always wins. Number 9. Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough is often overlooked when it comes to urban collapse, but that might be what makes it even more dangerous. This former industrial powerhouse is sitting on a toxic legacy. Beneath its streets and estates lie contaminated soils, remnants of decades of heavy industry, chemical plants, and steelworks. Over time, these materials have broken down the structural integrity of the land itself. According to studies from Teesside University, many parts of Middlesbrough are now dealing with chemical subsidence, where the ground weakens from pollution, not just natural erosion. The result? Buildings begin to crack, roads shift, and in some cases entire plots become unsuitable for construction or even safe living. And because it doesn't involve sinkholes or floods, most people never see it coming. Even more worrying, poor drainage systems and heavy rainfall in the area are accelerating the issue. Waterlogged soil amplifies contamination spread, weakening the ground and damaging building foundations. Some neighborhoods have already reported above-average rates of structural collapse, particularly around former industrial zones like South Bank and Cargo Fleet. What should you do if you live here? Have your soil tested if you're experiencing recurring foundation problems. Be wary of purchasing property built on redeveloped industrial land. Ask for a land contamination report. And if you're in a known risk area, consider installing ground moisture sensors to detect early signs of instability, because in Middlesbrough, the ground isn't just crumbling from erosion, it's poisoned from the past, and that history could be cracking the future beneath your feet. Number 10. Skegness. Sunny, cheerful, and packed every summer with tourists chasing fish and chips arcades and beach walks. But behind the laughter and seagulls Skegness is slipping away, literally. This popular Lincolnshire resort sits on a low, sandy floodplain surrounded by fragile dunes and shallow water tables. And while most people worry about heavy rain, the real threat here is the steady rise of the sea. According to the UK's flood risk management strategy, parts of Skegness could be permanently underwater by 2080, even sooner with extreme weather events. Some models even show seasonal flooding becoming the norm by the 2040s. But that's not all. Because the ground here is primarily sandy and porous, it shifts easily, especially during storms and high tides. This means roads buckle, foundations sink, and drainage systems fail, not once in a while, but regularly. And yet new developments continue, often marketed as beachfront bargains. But many come with rising insurance costs and hidden maintenance risks. If you live in or near Skegness, install groundwater monitors if you're in a basement-level property. Avoid major investments in low-elevation zones without checking flood maps, and make sure your insurance covers tidal surge and storm-related damage. Many standard policies don't, because Skegness may be charming today, but with the sea rising and the ground sinking, this beloved holiday town could become a lost shoreline tomorrow. The UK is changing, but not always in ways we can see. While cities grow upward with new buildings and developments, many are crumbling quietly beneath the surface. From coastal erosion in Skegness to underground collapses in Bradford, these aren't just future risks, they're happening right now. What's most shocking? Millions of people live in these high-risk zones without even knowing it. They continue to buy, build, and invest on land that's literally shifting, eroding, or sinking. And by the time the cracks appear, it's often too late to reverse the damage. But here's the good news. Knowledge is your first defense. By watching this video, you're already ahead of the curve. You now know which cities are the most vulnerable, and that puts you in a position to make smarter, safer decisions. Don't ignore the warning signs, because when the ground gives way, it doesn't ask for permission. So, what should you do if you live in or are thinking about moving to one of these high-risk cities? Here are some real-world actions you can take right now to protect your home, your investment, and your future. Know your zone. Start by checking your address on the UK Environment Agency's flood and erosion maps and the Coal Authority's subsidence risk reports. Many of these tools are free online and can tell you if you're living on unstable or contaminated ground. Rethink that bargain. If a house seems too good to be true, it might be built on risk-prone land. Always ask for a ground stability report, mining history check, or environmental risk assessment before buying or investing, especially in older or coastal areas. Upgrade your defenses. Living in a vulnerable area doesn't mean you have to move, but it does mean you need to prepare. Install flood barriers, moisture monitors, and even subsidence sensors in high-risk homes. These tools are often affordable and could save you thousands in repairs. Stay informed, stay insured. Talk to your insurance provider and make sure your policy includes sinkhole, flood, and erosion coverage. Many basic policies don't share this knowledge. Most people don't know any of this until it's too late. Share this video, talk to your neighbors, and help build awareness in your community, because the ground may shift, but your future doesn't have to. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below telling us which city shocked you the most, or if you've ever seen signs of collapse where you live. We pour our heart into making these videos for you. So if you found this helpful, please support us with a quick subscribe. It's just one click, but it means everything to us. And don't stop here. Watch our previous video on 5 beautiful UK towns that are surprisingly dangerous to live in. Trust me, you'll never look at them the same way again. Stay aware, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.